Have you ever noticed something strange? The smartest people in school, colleges, or anywhere is really the most successful one. The kid who solved impossible math problems. The one teachers called gifted, the favorite student, the one everyone thought would become extraordinary. Years later, he's stuck, confused, average. Meanwhile, the student nobody paid attention to quietly builds a great life and successful. Suddenly, everyone asks, "What happened?" How does someone with so much potential end up doing so little with it? And why do some of the smartest people spend their entire lives watching others become what they were supposed to be? The answer is uncomfortable because intelligence was never the thing holding them back. Something else was. Something much more dangerous. Most smart students grow up hearing the same sentence: "You're so talented, you can do everything, you can do anything." At first, it feels good. You score high without studying much. You understand everything very quickly, and you become known as the smartest kid, the smartest student alive in this school. And without realizing it, you start building your own identity around intelligence, not effort, not discipline, not consistency, just intelligence. Sounds harmless, but this is where the real trap begins. Because one day, life gives you a problem intelligence alone can't solve. A difficult exam, a competitive college, a rejection, a failure, a heartbreak, a dream that demands years of work. Your father, your parents, they contradict your ideas. And for the first time, being smart isn't enough. Most people think failure hurts because it damages your future. But for gifted students, failure hurts because it damages their identity. Their identity is intelligence. Suddenly they ask, if I'm smart, why I'm struggling? And that's where many begin to break. Think about Light Yagami from Death Note, one of the smartest anime characters ever written. His intelligence was incredible, but intelligence slowly became his weakness because he trusted his mind so much that he stopped questioning himself. That's what happens to many smart students. They become addicted to being right. They become afraid of looking stupid, afraid of asking questions. They think, I know everything, afraid of trying things they are bad at. They don't work hard, they don't want to improve themselves because they think they're strong, intelligent, they're intelligent enough to overcome everything. And this is what happens to every smart student. They become addicted to being right. They become afraid of looking stupid, afraid of failure, afraid of trying. Not because failure hurts, because this threatens their identity. They are built around the image of being the smartest one. And slowly, potential becomes a prison. Psychologists call this a fixed mindset. People believe intelligence is something you have, not something you built. So every challenge becomes a test, every mistake becomes proof, every failure becomes evidence, and eventually they stop taking risks. The average student does something different. They're already used to struggling. They're already used to not being the smartest. They are always they're always looked down upon. They're already used to being not the smartest. Failure doesn't destroy their identity. It's just part of the process. So while the gifted student avoids challenges, the average student keeps growing day after day, month after month, year after year, and eventually consistency beats talent. Not because talent isn't powerful, but because unused talent is worthless. Hard work without talent is nothing. That is a cruel irony. Many smart students are not failing because they are lazy. They're failing because they're scared. Scared of discovering their limits. Scared that they are not as special as everyone said. Scared that how work might reveal uncomfortable truths. So instead of trying and failing, they never fully try. That way they can always tell themselves, I could have succeeded if I wanted to. It's a psychological escape route, a way to escape the ego, but it comes at a terrible cost. Their entire future. There is a month story, and this is what happens to every student. Like you are preparing for exam, you don't study, and when the deadline is near, you like there is 1 month or 45 days. Then you start preparing, and when you fill the exam, you said, "I would have passed if I have tried enough." And this is not the story of everyone. Because nowadays people are addicted. They're addicted to mobiles, means anything. Their smartphone, they're glued to it, practically glued to it. They don't even try anything because their dopamine is. My topic है क्या ये? Because nowadays people don't want to really work. They just dream about it. They keep daydreaming. They keep thinking, thinking, thinking. They don't take practical actions. And they think if I would have tried enough, I would have succeeded. This is the problem. And now we come to the smart people, smart students. Because smart students are practically trained. They are like their main task is to bring numbers, the marks. And whenever they fail to reach that goal, their identity begin to break down. And they can't overcome that failure. So if you see, there are many students like who is a 10 topper, means a topper. He doesn't achieve many things. Like he has a set life, a, a job. Because smart student fear of failure, they fear of fail, so they don't even try that. They study. They're a topper. But in real life, they can't achieve anything important, anything special, anything far more than their potential. They can't overcome that barrier, and so they end up becoming the so-called bookworm, being in the rat trap race, because their mindset is like, I want to get the job, I have to score this much. Whereas the loser student, I mean an average student, they're practically glued to failures. They try, they fail, they don't even care anything else. Now here is a once a monk said, the ego would rather be a king in a prison than a student in freedom. Think about that. Many smart people spend years protecting their image, their identity, protecting their pride, protecting their false reputation, while others quickly build skills. In modern life, skill is everything, not their degree. There is a book called Atomic Habits. You have read it about. Every action is a vote for the person you want to become. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say that every talent, every IQ point, every compliment, every dream. He said every action. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. This is science. Because life doesn't reward potential. Life rewards repeated behavior. What you repeat, what you behave like, that becomes your identity. And your future goal aligned toward that behavior, that pattern, that focus, that action. Imagine two students. One is a brilliant, the other is ordinary. The brilliant student spends years waiting to feel motivated, waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting until he is ready. The ordinary student starts today, badly, messily, embarrassingly, ugly. He fails, gets rejected, makes mistakes. But there is one thing, he keeps going, failing, trying, but he never gives up. 10 years later, the brilliant student still talks about what he could become. The ordinary student has become it. Think about it. Smart student is saying that he will achieve that. Like, take an example, he would achieve a Bugatti Veyron, Chiron, anything like a bike, Ducati bike, Kawasaki Ninja. But the ordinary student who has tried, failed, and getting rejected but never gave up has already had it. He has everything. And nobody understands why. But the answer was never hidden. One chased perfection, the other chased progress. Potential is one of the most dangerous drugs in the world because it makes you feel successful without actually doing anything. You can spend years in love with the future version of yourself, the successful version, the confident version, the disciplined version, the admired version, the version of you who will rule the world while doing absolutely nothing to create it. That's daydreaming. And eventually, the dream becomes painful. Because every word that passes, the gap grows larger between who you are and what you wanted to and what you could become. That's one of the saddest forms of suffering. Not failing, but knowing you never truly tried. But here is the good news, your future doesn't care how smart you are, it cares about what you do next. That's it. You don't need to be gifted, you don't need perfect grades, you don't need endless motivation. You need the courage to be bad at something long enough to become good at it. If you fail 100 times, you know that what you will do to become and what you will not do. That's all growth has ever been. The people you admire aren't special because they never failed. They are special because they never stopped after failing multiple times. Maybe you're watching this video right now knowing you're capable of something more than ordinary. Knowing there is a version of you that's been waiting for a long time. Not waiting for motivation, not for inspiration, waiting for the action. The truth is, your potential has never been your greatest strength. Your willingness to act despite fear is because one day you will either meet the person you could have become, or you will spend the rest of your life wondering what happens to them and what when that choice is being made today, right now, with next thing you decide to do after this video ends. So here is the question. Are you protecting your potential? Are you finally willing to use the potential? So, because years from now, nobody will care how talented you were, nobody will care how much marks you have got, you were a topper or not. Nobody will care how much potential you truly had and where you would have reached. The only thing that will matter is whether you had the courage to turn that potential into reality. And remember, greatness is not built by the people who were born ahead. It is built by the people who kept moving forward despite being failing multiple times, being average, being slow to learn. The future version of you is watching. So make sure they're proud of the choice you made today.